Okay guys, Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana. Here we are with part 3 of my pillars of NBA prospecting. I hope you guys have enjoyed episodes 1 and 2. Part 3 is going to be the most important of the 3 parts because it's got mandatory factors. These are factors that I personally think are unavoidable, indispensable, mandatory prerequisites to nailing the correct prospect, or at least doing your absolute best to eliminate risk on flameouts and washouts and burnouts and failures. So like I said, I'm not perfect. I got a pretty good track record over 6 years of experience, learning by doing, trial and error, some wins, some losses. Luckily, significantly more wins than losses, so anyway, this is just this is my part 3. These are the mandatory factors that I think you guys got to consider. If you haven't watched episode or part 1 or part 2, go watch that first. I think it's really important to build in order of importance of things to consider in prospecting, and those first 2 videos kind of build in order of priority to this episode 3, which is the most important. I'm not going to rehash all of the stuff that I said in episodes 1 or 2 about, things to consider. Like I said, this is not the only way to do it. This is just my way to do it. I'm not telling you who to buy or who not to buy. Usually I'm not telling you exactly what cards to buy. I don't get into that game. I don't like people relying on the things that I say. This is just an invitation to peruse and an invitation to reflect and consider a myriad of factors when making decisions on NBA prospecting. I am not telling you, I have separated them into tiers of importance, but I'm not prioritizing really one over the other. And it's important to ask yourself questions about your prospect or your potential would-be prospect regarding all of these factors that you're going to see in videos 1 through 3. So, without any further ado, let's get cranking here. I've got our thumbnail listed over there with some of the questions that we like to ask ourselves, when we do invest. And so let's just get started. So mandatory factors. These are the big dogs. Number 1, identifying the correct product. Once you have the prospect picked out, then the question comes, what product do I buy? We talked in episode or in video part number 2 about the correct parallel within the product, but even more important than identifying the correct parallel when investing is identifying the actual product. And what I mean by product is, as we know right now, Panini pretty much has a stranglehold on the hobby and has for the past, decade or so. So when I say identify the correct product, for those of you who don't know, Panini makes a bunch of different types of products of basketball cards. So I'm going to kind of go through, this may not be all of them, but this is a large quantity of them. And I am going to tell you my 3 categories of products. There are safe products that I would consider when investing in a player. There are borderline products where you could convince me to buy this particular product if I really like the prospect. And then there are products that I personally completely avoid. I do not purchase at all. I am not saying, again, you can't make money in these products and you can't buy low and sell high. I'm just saying, in my experience, these products that I'm saying to avoid are not the best bang for your buck. In other words, I don't think you're going to yield the greatest fruits on your investment if you put your money into these products. In other words, $1,000 in safe product A is going to yield a better return than $1,000 in these products to avoid. That's my personal opinion. Comment below if I say something you don't like. I'm sure that we're not all going to be on the same page. I'd like to hear from some of you other experienced NBA prospectors and investors out there and let me know where you think I'm crazy, where you think I'm right. Again, there's a million ways to go about this, and here's my list, like it or not. I hope I don't offend anybody who's a big fan of these avoid products. And again, if you're just collecting, go buy the products. If you just like, the particular product that I've got on my avoid list, I'm not telling you not to collect it. I'm simply saying it's my opinion that there are better products to invest in. But collecting should be what you love and what you like and what you enjoy holding in your hands and looking at. But this is from a purely investment perspective. So products to absolutely avoid, in my personal opinion, anything collegiate. I would not touch anything that has a college uniform. That's just me. In my experience, these products come out, Prism draft picks, contenders, collegiate, immaculate, collegiate, national treasures, collegiate. They come out. They're a huge price point because they come out like usually first and before most of the NBA uniform stuff comes out, and then they freaking nosedive. In order to maximize money on these, you literally would need to be buying and selling so quick. I don't like to move that fast. When I prospect, I don't like to buy and sell 60 days later. That's not how I do stuff, the day trading or the week trading. It's just not how I do it. I would totally avoid anything having a collegiate uniform. That's just me. I'm not saying you can't make money. I'm just saying I'm not putting my money there. In addition to collegiate stuff, Absolute, Certified, which used to be called Totally Certified, Donruss, clearly Donruss Elite, Hoops, Chronicles, Flux, Illusions, Origins, and Recon. Those are my list that I personally don't screw with. If you love them, comment below and tell me why you love them. Tell me why you think they're products that should be included in the list of products to invest in. I'd love to hear, and everybody who's listening to this would probably love to hear why I'm wrong and why you think those products need to be bumped up into either the borderline products or the safe investable products that I've got. But anyway, that's for you. I'm not saying not to collect them. I'm simply saying that's not where I'd put my money if I'm investing. There's too many other better options. Now let's talk about the borderline products, okay? So these are 6 products that I don't look to these first, but I have invested in prospects in these particular products in certain parallels in the past, okay? Panini Black, I'm kind of on the fence. I haven't touched it much. Crown Royale, or Crown Royal, depending on how French you want to sound. Impeccable, Obsidian, Revolution, and Spectra, okay? And now again, I want to distinguish between collecting and investing. As far as collecting goes, I love Impeccable. I love Revolution. Revolution is my number one favorite product. The way it looks, everything about it, the limited number of parallels, how different they are, the fact that it's a paper product, which is a little bit different than the chromium movement that we've been experiencing. There's a million reasons to love and to collect cards in the product Revolution, for instance, and Obsidian, and Impeccable. This is not my go-to product for investing buy low, sell high. That's just not. It's just not. So Spectra, Revolution, Obsidian, Impeccable, Crown Royale, and Black. Those are my borderline. You could convince me to go buy the cards if I find them at the right price point. Certain cards within there, for Impeccable, I'm looking primarily at RPAs. Same for Obsidian. They don't grade well. Those two products do not grade well. Spectra is also a difficult product to grade. Spectra is a beautiful product as well. It just doesn't fall into my safe investable go-to list, okay? So here's my safe products list. My go-to list for me personally, these are the products that I look to first because these products tend to have the highest demand and or the highest margin as far as profitability in my experience over the past 6 years, okay? Prism, and these are in no particular order. Prism Optics Select, no surprise there. Those are cards that you can buy certain parallels in mass quantities. If you wanted to buy Prism Silver, you could go buy, not right now because, again, Panini's on their ass and not producing anything and blaming it on COVID, which I don't understand how that has anything to do with anything, but maybe that's just above my pay grade. But like if you wanted to go invest in Colin Sexton Silver Prism rookie cards right now today, I could go buy 100 of those on eBay right now, raw, graded, whatever. I promise you, I haven't looked, but I bet I could find 100 Colin Sexton Silvers right now. If you wanted to buy Ruby Wave, go get them. If you wanted to buy Red Ice or Pink Ice or Purple Ice or Zebra Butt, you can do all that, right? So Prism has a huge buffet of parallels to choose from. We talked a little bit in part number 2 video about which parallels to focus on. I don't tell you exactly what parallels to focus on, but I have my favorites. You like to look for those parallels that have some sort of tradition, that have a past, a present, and then you think will continue in the future. Orange, red, blue, silver, stuff like that. Gold, obviously, if you want to go large. So Prism Optics Select are 3 similar type products. If you had me choose in order of those 3, I'm choosing Prism. That's just me. Then we have National Treasures for the super high end, probably the highest of the high end. Well, maybe not, but near the top. Immaculate, high end. Flawless, high end. 1-in-1, which I don't have a ton of familiarity with, but I know it is a high-end product that people in the hobby ate that shit up. Right when it came out, people ate it up from day one. It's 2 cards. It's like $50 billion a box. People loved it. I don't know how much more elite and exclusive you can get than your box has 2 cards, and one of them's probably worthless. But that's what Panini 1-in-1 is. So there is a margin there. That's not my go-to. I can't buy Panini 1-in-1 cards of rookie prospects in bulk like I can red numbered to 299 prisms. But it is a product that I would consider safe from a buy low, sell high, flip type deal. You won't have problems liquidating that card. Contenders, only the autographs. That's my opinion. I do look at contenders, but I only look at contenders rookie autographs. That's me. Mosaic, I put in there, never the base, obviously. More so never the base than even Select Optic and Prism. Mosaic base was freaking crazy printed. You need to start looking at some of the more appealing, more popular parallels in Mosaic. And then Noir is the last one. I love that product. It is very difficult to grade Noir cards because Noir means, I think it means black in French, and black means black edges and black corners and black all over the card, which means the card's gonna be very hard to grade. They're also very thick cards usually. And when I talk about Noir, Flawless, Immaculate, and National Treasures, I am primarily talking about the RPAs in those products. In Panini, in Prism Optic and Select, I'm talking more about the shiny stuff, right? Different color parallels and whatnot. Obviously, the lower the color number, generally, it's not perfect science, but generally the lower the serial number print run, the more valuable the card. It doesn't always work that way. Color match is an example. Sometimes people don't like the choice stuff as much as the higher serial numbered true Prism release. So there's all kinds of variations, but those are my products. For the products that I said to avoid, again, Collegiate, Absolute, Certified, Donruss, Clearly Donruss, Donruss Elite, Hoops, Chronicles, Flux, Illusions, Origins, and Recon. They're just not quite popular enough to make it easy to liquidate. Like if you're sitting right now on a whole shitload of Darius Garland Absolute cards, it's just going to be harder to move those cards than if you have, a Darius Garland Prism Red color match, it's hard to color match on the Cavs because they're kind of maroon, or I think it's called, what's it called? Like crimson or something like that. I don't know. But like Ja Morant Prism Blue number 299, that's going to be a hell of a lot easier to move than a Ja Morant Absolute, monkey skin or whatever the hell variation Absolute has. I mean, I don't even know what they do. Some of those cards look fantastic. They're just going to be harder to move. That's just my opinion. Enough on correct product. Let's move over here and let's start talking about number one. The most important thing, in my opinion, is probably this: the proper price point. Okay, the price point you pay for the card matters. You can pick the prospect. Zion's not a great example, but like right now, if you're a prospect, you want to invest in Doncic. Well, that's not a good example either because his cards have dipped a little bit. Let's go. Who is the hottest player of this year? Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley's cards, they don't exist, but when they come out, the price point may be up here. Zion, when he came out, his price point was through the freaking roof. It was insane. I didn't purchase a single one. It wasn't because I didn't think Zion Williamson was going to be a good NBA player. He clearly proved he is when he's healthy. It was simply, and a lot of people, dodged him for injury reasons or weight concerns or where he plays and all that crap. There's a lot of reasons to buy or not buy a player, but I didn't buy him just because his cards are so damn expensive. I thought my money was better spent on Darius Garland. I don't want one Zion Silver when I can buy 7 Darius Garlands. Darius Garland silvers. You're always going to have to be making those analyses when you identify a prospect to choose. And so that's why a proper price point means everything. If you can get the Jordan Poole, you can get 30 Jordan Pooles for the price of one John Morant. Yeah, John Morant's better. John Morant's always going to be better than Jordan Poole, probably, right? But if I've got 30 Jordan Pooles, I really like that more than one John Morant of the same parallel. So nailing the prospect doesn't matter if you buy the wrong product or parallel at the wrong price. If there's too much hype built in, even when your player produces, his cards may go down. And we're seeing that now. We're seeing Doncic cards coming down, and he's having a fantastic season. We're seeing Joel Embiid cards come down and Jokic cards come down. Like the list of players that are actually going up is very slim right now. And that's just part of the hobby adjusting to population and different things like that. But, your margin of error is just so razor thin if you buy the guy. Like I'm telling you, when Cade Cunningham's cards come out, if you go out there and you snatch up all of the Cade Cunningham cards, right upon release, there's a lot of shit built into that card price. I don't know what the price is going to be for his Prism Silver. LaMelo Ball's a great example. I haven't looked, but if we go, let me go here because I was going to actually look at Embiid, but let's go look at LaMelo Ball Silver here on. Let's go look at Raw. So it's all they got is Raw because not many people have graded. So look at when it came out, right? So we're looking at 1 year here of LaMelo Ball Prism Silver rookie cards. When this card came out, the first one sold for $19.25. God help the person who thought that was a good purchase. But somebody bought a silver LaMelo Raw at $19.25. Then some more dumb people bought it at $1,200 for a freaking Raw card. And then the card kind of settled, right? For about 20 different sales or 30 different sales. It settled here in the 600, 700, 500, 600 range. That's absurd, okay? That is absurd for a card that is printed this high. I mean, you don't know the print run of silvers because they don't print it on there, but they printed more than they did in 2019, which was more than they printed in 2018. And we know there's a zillion Luka Doncic 2018s, and we know there's a zillion silver PSA 10 Zions. When you add up the 10s, 9s, and 8s, and then add up the BGS 9.5s, there's like 10,000 or something crazy. If you know there's that many, then why are you buying these cards at $1,000? And so my point is, you may have nailed it. LaMelo looks like he's an absolute monster, and you may nail LaMelo, and you may have tons. But if you bought him at $600, in April of 2021, which is about a year ago, you're taking a bath, man. I mean, these cards are $130 now. And it's because the hobby finally, it always just takes some time for the hobby to get educated, figure out what the price point should be, and the card will eventually find a home, right? It's like water seeking the lowest point, right? If you've got a leak or whatever, water's always going to seek the lowest point. These cards are going to find their home. They're going to find the right price point based on a myriad of factors: the product, the population, the performance of the player, all of that crap, right? There's a million things that go into what it's worth. But I could have told you it's not worth $600 for a raw LaMelo Ball Prism Silver. Like, I would never in a million years have done that. Hopefully you guys are on the same page with me. I did not know they would dip this bad. I mean, I wouldn't hate anybody for buying them at $217, but if you bought it at $275 in September, that card's $130. That's a huge ass loss. I mean, you just lost half of your investment right there. This is LaMelo Ball, and it ain't like LaMelo Ball's not kicking ass. I mean, he's kicking ass and taking names. He's going to make the All-Star team, guys. I don't know if you know that, but LaMelo Ball's making the All-Star team. He's having filthy numbers right now. I don't have it pulled up, but I think he's like 27-7, not 27, but 20-7-7 or something crazy like that, with pretty good percentages, and he's exciting as hell. So he's doing everything the hobby demands. He's doing everything like John Morant's doing. His team's not winning at the same clip, but his cards are going down. I mean, look at this. This is just in the last 1 month. I mean, this card was 200, got up to 320, and then bounced around here at the low 200s, and now the card has dipped to 167, 130. So price point's everything. Just because you're right, if you buy the wrong card at the right price, it doesn't matter how right you are on identifying the prospect, you're going to get crushed. That's why I tend to avoid prospect A1. You used to be able to do it. You used to be able to do it with Donovan Mitchell and Tatum and Doncic and all that. The hobby wasn't as educated. You could buy raw, grade, flip, and make a fortune on that. You can't do it anymore on those types of cards. So I would be really hesitant to go out there and pour all your money into the big dogs. And I know I'm saying stuff that a lot of people may not agree with. This is just my experience. I don't own a LaMelo Ball card. I don't own a Zion Williamson card. I do have some Ja Morant because Ja Morant was about 1/3 or 1/4 the price of Zion at release. He was. Go back and check it out. It was different. It was a whole different world. All the money was being poured into Zion. I don't own Anthony Edwards cards. I just don't. It's just not how I do it. I don't buy the biggest and the baddest and the best. I used to be able to do that, right? I don't do it anymore. So proper price points, everything. Looking for the best bang for your buck. My guys, my prospects are rarely the prospects. Okay, that's just my perspective. Know your budget. Okay, this is just common sense in any investing, right? Don't overspend. Don't spend money you don't have to lose. Know your budget. Have a good idea of how much total you want to put into a prospect. That way you can properly plan how you want your portfolio of that player to look, right? So if I have $10,000 to work with, in Tyler Hero, I don't care. I'm throwing a random name out there. That's a totally different analysis than if I only have $1,000 to work with in Tyler Hero, right? So there's ways to diversify. The more money you have, the more diverse your investment in that particular player can be. So it's crucial to understand what your price point is. To understand what your budget is, to know how much you have to spend so you know how to spread it out. Some people with $10,000 would like to buy 3 cards. That's not how I do it. In my experience, that's the easiest way to liquidate and to get out and to strike quick if there is a window where you want to cash out. But in my experience, that's not the best way to maximize your money. I'm not going to tell you if it's 50 cards with your $10,000 or 500. It just depends on the player, the year, the product, the parallel. There's a lot that goes into that. But knowing your budget is first and foremost. You got to know how much you have to spend so you can kind of identify what exactly you're looking for as far as products and parallels. So I think in general, it's also a very good idea to have take a step back and take a big picture approach of what percentage of my entire card portfolio is invested in high risk prospects and what percentage is being spent on more low risk stuff. I did a good video on this where I kind of went through my top 100. Maybe 2 cards of my top, maybe 4 cards of my top 100 are big time ultra modern cards. Maybe all my money, the bulk of the majority of the money that I have invested in the hobby is in LeBron, Giannis, Doncic. And I think Doncic is no longer a risky prospect. LeBron, Giannis, Doncic, Shaquille O'Neal, 86 Fleer sets, 97 Metal Universe PMG Reds, stuff like that. Jordan rookies, Jordan inserts, just super safe stuff. LeBron colors, LeBron rookies, stuff like that. Now look, that stuff's gone down. I get it. I'm not saying that stuff is like recession proof or hobby proof. I mean, those cards, I've taken a bath on LeBron rookie cards. Some of them I bought, they're up from where I bought them, but some of them are way down from where I bought them. And I know there's a lot of people in my position, but the difference is I don't mind holding LeBron for 10 more years. That's fine with me. If I need to hold LeBron for 10 more years to get my money back and or to make money, fine with me. It's no different than holding Microsoft stock or Apple stock. I know LeBron's not going anywhere. It would be different than, holding Rui Hachimura for 10 years. I don't know where Rui Hachimura is going. Or me holding Kevin Porter Jr., who I love, for 10 years. I don't know for sure that Kevin Porter Jr. is going to be what I think he is. LeBron, we know, right? There's no guessing there. Giannis, there's no guessing. Their resume, while it may not be finished, is established enough to know you're going to be all right with those guys 10 years from now. Michael Jordan, you're probably going to be all right. You're probably going to look a lot better in 10 years than you do today. And I can affirm for a 100% certainty you look better today with Jordan in your portfolio than you did 10 years ago. Significantly better. There's people that became millionaires from Michael Jordan. I would like all of y'all to kind of take a step back every once in a while and make sure you're not getting too heavily invested and not too much of your portfolio is not focused on these high risk, ultra modern prospects. So next mandatory factor to consider: availability or scarcity of a parallel. Okay, so this is another two-edged sword. So Logo Man, National Treasures True RPA number to 99, Prism Gold number to 10. Those are all fantastic options. But what if there's 2 or 3 other investors out there with what I call FU money, right? That want that card. You know, let me pull up some National Treasures, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. Well, that's gonna be football. So here's an OG Anunoby NT RPA number to 99 true rookie card, right? So even for OG Anunoby, that's a $1,100 card right there, right? That's a big ass card. But what if there's 2 or 3 other crazy Canadians? I won't name names. My Canadian friends, there's 2 of you guys. You know who you are. You love the Raptors, and you would love this card. I don't want to get into a bidding war with 2 or 3 people, right? The world's full of millions, billions of people. I don't want to get into a bidding war because what is it gonna do me to invest in OG Anunoby if some other guy out there with FU money says I'm getting the card no matter what? And here it is at auction, and our price point ends up going through the roof because somebody says, damn it, I'm putting this in my collection. You got to be careful with that. And so that's why I think the availability / scarcity of a parallel is an important factor to consider. It's one thing if you're going after the NT RPA 99 of a totally off the radar guy, but even if you're going for a sort of on the radar guy like a Garland or, you know, when he was a rookie, or like a Fox or a KPJ, you need to be careful because if there's 2 or 3 people out there, you may end up overpaying for that card. And then we have our price point problem where too much production and hype is built in and the card can only go down, right? So that's just something to consider. And I'm just out of curiosity, I want to look at the all-time on this. I totally randomly chosen. So you can see OG Anunoby is actually going up, believe it or not. So there's people out there that love OG Anunoby, but this raw National Treasures, for some reason, I guess people still believe in OG Anunoby. He's the 5th best player on his team. I don't know what the deal is with that, but anyway, there you go. But anyway, hang on, let me make sure I'm still okay. Good, on picture. I just want to make sure y'all saw that. That was not a shot at OG Anunoby. I just totally randomly just typed in National Treasures and pulled somebody up. So the availability, scarcity of the parallel is important. It's important to get a parallel that's available, that you can buy in large quantities, in my opinion, but not too large of quantities. Like, don't go buy all the Prism red, white, and blues of, you know, whoever your player is when Panini finally releases, you know, the 2021 22 Prism. Don't go out there and just buy hundreds of red, white, and blues. Find that niche. You know, we've kind of talked about it. Like my plan would be reds, color matches, reds numbered to 299, blues numbered to 199, golds if you can touch it, but golds you're getting into that danger of somebody driving the price point so crazy high that it no longer makes sense as an investment. Orange, another one, is right there, maybe a little bit too scarce and a little bit too highly sought after. But if you can, you know, obviously there's great money to be made in Logo Man's, National Treasure RPA number to 99s, and golds. Don't get me wrong. If you can get it and get it at the right point, you can make a fortune, right? I'm doing it on a couple cards right now that I'm selling. So it can be done. Just, you know, again, know your budget, and then pick out the parallel that's scarce, but not too crazy scarce, but also not too common. Silver, it's getting common, guys. The population is huge now. I'm worried about it. I know it's been around forever, and forever people have said, F the population. I want the refractor. I want the silver. I want the hollow, but I don't know how much longer that continues. A great example of that is, look, I wanted to show you these 2 guys, and we're going to talk about them a little bit more later, I think. But like, this is the Nikola Jokic silver, PSA 10 silver. This is pop 128. Do y'all realize how low that is? The dude was MVP last year. Look at what has happened to his silver in the past 1 year. Right? 5,000, got all the way up to 6,000. Look where it's at, 24.53. That is somebody getting punched straight in the nuts just in the last 8, 9, 10 months. That's nuts, right? And that's a silver that's popped 128. I don't need to tell you what the silver Doncic and Zion and Ja and all those are. Going back. Oh shoot, let me see if I can get Embiid back up here. I had Embiid up here somewhere. There he is. Embiid, same deal, right? The year right before Jokic, look at what his silver pop is. Pop 72 for his silver. Look what Embiid's done, right? Normal. This is all time. Let's look at the last year like we did for Jokic. Here it was, 2,700. Things spiked all the way up to 5,700, and look where it's at. Now, these two guys that I'm choosing that we're talking about here, the silver, the high production of recent silver the pendulum is swinging too far. These guys' silvers are getting punished, right? For the overproduction of ultra modern silver. It does not make sense to me. It doesn't make sense. Like, I'm not telling you go out and buy these two dudes because they're true big men, and I don't dig true big men. We're about to talk about that. But is anybody, they're having probably two of the four best seasons in the NBA right now. Joel Embiid and Jokic are top four in MVP voting, right? Along with, Durant's out now. So you got Curry, you got LeBron, you got Giannis, and you got these two dudes. And maybe I'm forgetting somebody. Oh, Ja Morant's probably in the mix now. But these are two of the five best players in the NBA this year. There's no question about it. There's no question about it. And Jokic is having a historically amazing season. And his silver is plummeting. And it's not a high pop. The high pop is not the reason. It's just kind of like people are extrapolating the negativity with ultra modern base and silver high production and applying it to these cards, which, look at the screen. It is not a high pop card. It is never going to be. They didn't print as many back then. So just be careful what parallel you're buying. I would not so much tell you to go out there and buy 100 ultra modern silver. That may not be the best bet. 2016 and before, I think you're good. Maybe even 2017, 2018, 19, and 20 and 21. I'd be real careful with silver. I think silver is becoming the new base. That's a topic for another video. Anyway, so the next mandatory factor, this is just my personal rule, no big men. No true big men. That includes Jokic and that includes Embiid. I just don't buy true big men. It's not about height, right? So I'm not saying don't buy 6'11 guys. I'm not saying don't buy 7-footers. I'm saying don't buy true big men. And I know they're modern big men and they do step out and do some things and they run offense and all, but it's easiest just to avoid true big men. From my perspective, this is a mandatory factor for me. You will not see me invest in giant 7-foot guys. I just won't do it. They're, injury prone. We don't identify, like, we're normal sized human beings. I'm 6'4", and for, a 7-footer doesn't even seem like a human being to me. They're just too big. We don't identify them, identify with them. They don't play. And these are two of the flashiest, most, biggest personality guys out there. And they're still just getting punished because they're big men. Ayton, Embiid, Jokic, don't even consider rim running bigs like Capella and dudes like that. The hobby just does not give these guys the same type of value or credit that they do little people like Ja Morant and Trae Young, or even other giants who dribble the ball and play the perimeter. So if you're asking me to choose, I'm always taking the perimeter over the big men. And this has been historically found. This is historically sound information, because if you go look, honestly, Tim Duncan, Olajuwon, both of those guys, and go ahead and comment. You can do whatever you want. Both those guys were every bit as good as Kobe. Go look at Olajuwon's prices next to Kobe. Go look at Tim Duncan's prices next to Kobe. People like perimeter players. They just don't like true big men. I don't know what else to say about it. So when in doubt, choose the perimeter player. There's just too much history of the hobby. This is very similar to football, where quarterbacks are everything and nobody gives a shit about defensive players, or running backs, even historically. Like, average quarterbacks cards are worth more than LaDainian Tomlinson and Marshall Faulk cards, right? It's like in the sport of soccer, nobody buys defensemen, right? You could, buy a card of the greatest defenseman in the world for 1/50th of the price of Ronaldo or Messi. Literally, I'm not kidding. So I'm not saying don't go out there and buy DeAndre Ayton or Wiseman cards. I'm simply saying I'm not buying DeAndre Ayton or Wiseman cards because there's too many other small prospects to choose from. Not necessarily small, but perimeter-oriented prospects to choose from. And again, don't get me wrong. It's not about height. I'm not saying don't buy tall people. Giannis, KD, there's tons of guys out there. I'm just saying don't buy true bigs. I love Jarrett Allen, and I know his cards are going up right now. And like I said, you can make money on bigs. You can definitely make money on bigs. I just don't think long-term it's a great investment. Okay, that's just personally me. I don't think the hobby cares enough. So, Jarrett Allen's a great example. So Jarrett Allen PSA 10s are about $152 right now. Okay, they spiked up to $300, and he's done nothing wrong. They've come back down to where they're $152 for a Jarrett Allen silver. He's having an all-star season. He literally might make the all-star team. But compare his cards to Darius Garland's silver PSA 10, right? They're having very similar seasons. You would think their cards would be going up at about the same clip. I haven't looked closely at the pop, but whatever. The last 36 Darius Garland silver PSA 10s, every single one has sold for over 300, right? And Jarrett Allen's 152, half. And I'm guessing his pop is probably less than Darius Garland's. So that's just the big versus little bias. It's the exciting versus the not so exciting. I mean, his afro is exciting to look at. It's fantastic. It's very 1970s NBA. Jackie Moon would love it. But little people, like Darius Garland's the next Kyrie Irving. Jarrett Allen is like the next Artis Gilmore. And 90% of you watching this video would be like, who the hell is Artis Gilmore? Exactly. That's the problem. So moving on, next mandatory factor to consider is playing time or opportunity, okay? A great example of this is Anthony Simons before he got the playing time because of Lillard and McCollum's injury, and Cole Anthony, right? Nothing is more important than your prospect getting on the floor. Your prospect has to get on the floor and perform at some point. You will never reap rewards if he does not play. To reap rewards, your prospect has to play at some point or he's going to be written off. If he cannot get on the floor in 3 or 4 years, it is just highly unlikely he's ever going to, right? I know there's always people that are backed up and like Simons was in jail. I'm trying to think of some other guys like Jordan Poole's kind of in jail right now. You know, he's shown flashes. He can't get that consistent 30 minutes a game with a high usage rate. He shows, potential like he can, but he just, he hasn't yet. I wish I had some more guys top of mind right now that I could share with you guys. But the longer your prospect is dormant, the risk that he never reaches his potential goes up. But remember, it's a sliding scale. The less he plays, the lower his price point gets. And so if you truly believe in a prospect, if you can go find that prospect who just, let's pull up Simons. Shit. Let's see. So we'll pull up the Simons silver, right? And this is going to be a hilarious journey. Watch this. Let's go to all time. You're going to see a couple spikes in here. Yeah, there you go. So here's Anthony Simons, Prism silver all time. And you know what? Raw is actually probably even they don't have it. Okay. So PSA 10, here's your Simons all time chart, right? And you can see where he's at now. Why? Why is he 240? Why have his last sales been 203, 244, 200, 200, 206? There's one reason. The dude's playing and he's killing it. He was doing the same thing right here, and he was $112. In October, November, December, he was doing the exact same thing. He was just doing it in 19 minutes a game. But now he's getting 30-plus minutes a game, and he's putting up crazy numbers, and the Blazers are somehow beating people without a healthy McCollum and with no Lillard. But you can see, like Simons throughout history, he's going to have these spikes where he'll come in, he'll play, and his card will zoom up, right? And I kind of had to hold through all this stuff. Strong hands, hashtag strong hands. You got to kind of hold through all that stuff. But the fact of the matter is, these silvers were $100, as recently as April. So 8 months ago, these cards were $140, and now they're $203, $250 in a declining market. Remember what we just looked at with the Embiid and the Jokic silvers, and most, pretty much every player in the NBA silvers coming down. In a declining market, the cards doubled, right? And it's only for one reason, because the guy finally got on the court and started to produce. So playing time and opportunity to play is everything. Cole Anthony got all this playing time this year, and his cards kind of shot up, right? And again, there's a million examples. I'm sorry I don't have all of them, but keep this in mind. If your prospect's not playing, I wouldn't panic. Like Kevin Knox is an example. I'm not saying go by Kevin Knox, and he may be total trash. He had his chance in New York and didn't do shit. But now he's in Atlanta. Kevin Knox's cards are so cheap right now. I can't stress enough how cheap his cards are. Go look at them. I'm not saying go buy Kevin Knox, but damn, they were so cheap. I actually considered it. I wonder if Kevin Knox is even on here. Let me see if Kevin Knox is even in card line. Oh, he is. Perfect. Fantastic. So watch this. Look at Kevin Knox's silver PSA 10 card. It's $36. It just last sold on $36. But look where it was. Right? So at one point, this card was 200, 100, 400 when he was actually playing. Look where it's at now. I mean, how much, dude, somebody bought a Kevin Knox silver PSA 10 for $12 2 weeks ago. Give me 100 of them. Literally, give me 100 of them. And if the card goes back to $80 or anything like that, that is insane money. And so there's opportunity out there for non-franchise guys just because of playing time and opportunity. So let's see what happens. Obviously, Kevin Knox's cards, and again, I can't believe this became a Kevin Knox video, but like, I mean, look at this. This is some crazy stuff. Like, it spiked a little bit just because people were probably thinking what I was thinking, which was $13. Shit, I can't grade a card. I can't grade 7 cards at PSA. For $100. It's $100 to grade one card. This is $12. That's 1/7 of the cost to grade a single card at PSA right now, or 1/8 or whatever. And so some people probably bought a few here knowing he got traded. Anyway, out of sight, out of mind is not necessarily the end of the world. What I'm getting at is it could be a great purchasing opportunity. If your guy's trapped, it's a great purchasing opportunity. Michael Porter Jr. is another example. I'm not telling you to go out here and take a big flyer on Michael Porter Jr., but I'm telling you, we're not looking at base. We're going to look at silver. So if we look at Michael Porter Jr.'s silver PSA 10s, look at it. I'm going to go 6 months. Look at Michael Porter Jr.'s silver PSA 10 over the last 6 months. It's an absolute train wreck. Is Michael Porter Jr. worse today than he was 6 months ago or 4 months ago when his silvers were $600? No. He's injured. He's not playing. These are the types of plays you need to look for. Like, he's an ultra-modern prospect. We saw a glimpse of what he can do. The dude was putting up 50, 40, 90 on 30 minutes a game and volume with Jokic and no Jamal Murray in the lineup. There is no question that if Michael Porter Jr. comes back healthy and plays, these $185 silvers are going to be a gold mine. I'm not doing it because I've got enough other moves that I'm making, and I do have concern about his long-term health. But like I said, playing time opportunity means everything. That's enough of that. Let's move on. Mandatory. For home runs, this is mandatory. If you want to hit a double on, Kevin Herter or Rui Hachimura or whatever, you can. But flash, swag, athleticism. I'm just going to kind of group those together. Pizzazz, swag, athleticism, excitability, these types of things. If you look at the 6 biggest names in the hobby in the past 3 years, they're not all athletic, but they all have huge personality / swag / entertainment factor, right, to their name. Ja, Zion, Doncic, Trey, Anthony Edwards, LaMelo Ball. All 6 of them. 6 for 6. Their cards have been towards the top of the hobby, and I know some of them come down a little bit, but all cards are coming down, or not all cards, but certain cards in the hobby are coming down, so they're kind of stuck in this. Their high-end cards are not coming down. Go check for yourself. Premier auctions and golden auctions on the monsters. Those are not coming down. But all 6 of those guys who are at the tip of everybody's tongue in the hobby have it, right? A great example is Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant. I know you're not going to believe me. Go look, you young people. You just don't know. Go look at their resumes. Very, very, very similar. In a lot of respects, Tim Duncan was a much more efficient, well, in every respect, he was a much more efficient player than Kobe Bryant. Their cards aren't the same. They're not treated the same. Kawhi Leonard and Steph Curry, not even in the same universe. And Kawhi Leonard's got 2 Finals MVPs. He's, a historical, probably top 25, top 30 player. Steph Curry's cards are way up here off the screen. Kawhi's cards are way down here, bottom of the screen. And that goes back to playing time and opportunity. Kawhi's not playing right now, so his cards are taking a little hit there. But even when playing, people are always choosing Steph Curry over Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi is kind of weird, to be honest with you, and quiet, and doesn't have the same, not athleticism. That's not Steph Curry, right? That's not what he's thriving on, but swag, flash, personability, marketability, all of those things. There's just not a ton of Kawhi Leonard commercials out there, but Steph Curry's everywhere. So it doesn't have to be pure dunking on people's faces, bigger, stronger, faster, like Anthony Edwards. It can be, it can be Blake Griffin, it can be Zion, it can be Amari Stoudemire, it can be, Anthony Edwards, but it could be lovability or hateability. Hell, half the people in the hobby hate Trae Young. But damn, his cards are nice, right? I mean, you want Trae Young cards. He's got swag. He's got flash. He plays to the crowd. He's entertaining to watch, even if you don't like the guy. So the hobby loves unique. The hobby loves entertainment. The hobby loves like hype and interacting with the crowd and the media and controversy. And so just kind of keep that in mind. Athleticism is definitely not a prerequisite. I loop it in here because it can be helpful, but it is not mandatory. Doncic, Trae, Steph, not athletic dudes, man. Not athletic dudes at all. Certainly by NBA standards, they are not. But they got that it factor, right? And they're must-see TV with far below average athleticism. Keep an eye on quantity, okay? This is the last factor we're going to talk about. It's very important, and I made a mistake with Anthony Simons and a little bit with Garland. I kind of fixed it with Kevin Porter Jr. I was buying too many cards that don't mean enough. Okay, so you need to find the sweet spot between quantity and quality of the product and parallel you're buying. Like I said, I bought thousands of Anthony Simons cards. I keep going back to Anthony Simons. I'm sorry, but this is kind of what a lot of my experience is based on, because I'm going through it right now and it's actually working, and I'm learning I have too many. It's a good problem to have because they're all worth more than I bought them for, but I have too many to strike while the iron's hot. I want to move them now, and I'm selling literally 20 to 50 a day, and it's not quick enough. I can't move them quick enough. It's too much work to liquidate them. I wish I had bought a little bit fewer cards, because I probably bought 2,500 Simons rookies. I wish I had bought 500 Simons rookies for 5 times the value that I paid, for the 2,500. Does that make sense? I wish I had more NTRPAs. I wish I had more gold to 10s, orange to 49s, silver, select golds and things like that, courtsides. I wish I had a little bit higher quality than I do. And I do have high quality. Don't get me wrong. I checked a lot of boxes with Anthony Simons, but I wish I hadn't bought quite so many, and I had instead consolidated that money and bought fewer. So remember, if you have too much quantity, if you have thousands instead of 100, more work is involved in cleaning the raw cards to submit them for grading. More money is required to grade that many cards. More work is involved in storing those cards. More money needs to be spent on supply of those cards. More work is involved in listing those cards when the time comes to cash out. I'm dealing with that right now. I'm using the PWCC fixed marketplace to cash out a lot of Morants and Simons and Garland, but there's not enough eyes on that site. If I really wanted to move this quick, I got to get on eBay, or I'll get it on MySlabs, or both. Or really, I could grind to maximize profit on Instagram and Facebook and in the Facebook groups. It's just too much. It's overwhelming. And it's because I have too much quantity, right? So I've learned from my mistakes that when I invested in Kevin Porter Jr., I bought significantly higher value cards and significantly fewer of them. Did I still buy hundreds? Yeah, I bought hundreds. But I bought probably 1/5 as many as I did Anthony Simons. I just paid, about the same amount of money and just bought more important, more relevant parallels, because it's going to be easier to liquidate, God willing, when the time comes, if Kevin Porter can do his thing. So remember that when it comes time to liquidate, you're not going to want to be sitting on $1,500 $50 cards when you could be sitting on $150 $500 cards. It's always better to have the latter. So that includes shipping, packing these cards up, wedging them between cardboard, putting them in bubble mailers, sealing it, labeling it, all that work that goes with it. If you don't have a team doing that for you, you're going to have to do that. Would you rather do that 1,500 times or 150 times for exactly the same money? When you have too many, you can't move quick enough to strike while the iron's hot. But anyway, that's kind of it, guys. That's it for part 3. Again, I hope y'all enjoyed these factors. I wish I had some better graphics. I didn't put a lot of time in, and I'm not going to put a lot of time into the post-production. It would be nice to put those factors back up on the screen. I am going to, here I can go through real quick. I am going to move this over here so you've got some picture-in-picture. Yeah, let me make sure. So we'll scroll all the way up to the top, and I'm real quick gonna scroll through it. So some of the factors to consider that we saw in part one are the market size, or how big your team's market is, front office, coaching stability, player personnel stability, your investment duration, your window, how long you plan to hold this investment before you liquidate. Do you liquidate in stages? We didn't talk a lot about that. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of liquidating in stages, taking profits one stage at a time. When you hit a double and your player gets those minutes, liquidate some, hold some, but liquidate some, and then kind of liquidate down the road. It kind of hedges risk that way. Respect of the player's peers, how other players interact with your player post-game and in press conferences. Or is your player political or controversial? The less, the better, in my opinion. On-court trouble. What's your player's body language? High school and college and international pre-NBA resume. It's a factor to consider. Your team's tempo or style of play. That's important, but it doesn't fall into the important. It's just a factor to consider because, remember, prospects change teams, so they may not have that same tempo forever. Articulation. How well does your player speak and conduct himself in public? Physical appearance. What's your player look like? Is he ugly? Is he good looking? It matters. Don't lie and say it doesn't. It does. Positional size for guards and forwards. Being bigger than your opponent is an important factor. The right parallel. Buying the right parallel within the product. If you get the player right and you get the product right, but you buy the wrong parallel, you're not going to maximize your money. We talked a lot about that in video part number 2. Franchise player potential. This is where I come in. I like to swing for the fences. I don't necessarily swing for doubles. I swing for the fences and sell along the way. You're not going to find me investing in, Desmond Bane, Cam Johnson, quickly, guys that are going to be good but not great. I just don't mess with it. Michael Bridges, whatever. I don't do it. It's not enough. Kelly Oubre. I want to hit the home run. I want to get the next Giannis because I did it the first time. I want to do it again. I want to get the next... whatever, LaMelo, next rags to riches is what I'm looking for. That's just me. I'd rather go 1 for 6 on rags to riches than go 4 for 6 on, Desmond Bane. Usage rate. Your guy's got to be able to be a guy that can have the ball in his hands and win a game for his team and run offense and create for himself and for others. More importantly, for others. That's where Colin Sexton falls off the radar for me. Not a true point guard, not really necessarily making his teammates better. He can get you 20 a game. He can get you 23 a game. But I don't think he's going to make your team better like Garland does. Off-court trouble, big red flag, big risk I took with Kevin Porter Jr. We've talked about a little bit of that historically. The active career players, off-court trouble is a big issue. Post-career, not so much. People forgive everybody for everything. Draft position, I stay away from second-rounders. It's just not likely. Jokic was the last one, the last true franchise player. And I think we said it was like out of 210 players drafted, 1 second-rounder is a franchise cornerstone, and it's Jokic. Again, comment if I forgot somebody. I might have missed somebody. But if it ain't one, it's not more than 2 or 3. Starting 5 horizon, your player's got to get in it. The longer he's not in it, the lower his price point will drop. So it's a buying window if you really got the balls to kind of stick with it and have #strong hands. But once he gets in that starting 5, now it's time to put your money where your mouth is for the prospect and put up or shut up. And if he puts up and he gets in that starting 5 and he's locked in, that's where you can start making some real money. Rookie season age, we talked about it. I kind of stay away from juniors and seniors, guys. If you get drafted as a junior or senior, Karis LeVert, Buddy Hield, Desmond Bane, Kuzma, Michael Bridges, Hachimura. That's it. I just named the 6 best juniors and seniors in the first round for the last 7 years. That's it. I don't think any of you guys get real excited when you hear any of those names that I mentioned. Like I said, 6 players that I just named are the only ones remotely relevant that were drafted as juniors and seniors. Most of the, who I left out? I think I left out Brogdon. Was Brogdon on here? Brogdon's relevant, but again, how many Brogdon PCs out there? How many times have you scrolled through Instagram and somebody's like, looking for Brogdon? It just doesn't happen. So you want to get that next franchise player. Your team's got to win games. The prospect's got to win games at some point. Each year he's in the league, it becomes more and more important. Mandatory factors. We talked about these today. I will go through them real quick. Buy the correct product at the right price point. Know how much you have to spend. know the availability or scarcity of the parallel. You don't want it to be too scarce because you'll get price gouged, but you don't want it to be too common because you'll have too many. It'll be too hard to sell and people won't want it and the demand won't be there. Find that sweet spot right in the middle of relevant cards that have a history for parallels. No true big men. That's me. You may love Embiid, Jokic, and Ayton. I don't buy them. I'm not buying James Wiseman for this exact reason. That's just me. There's too much history telling me that nobody gives a shit, right? Olajuwon, Robinson, Patrick Ewing. Let's go down the list. Dwight Howard. People don't give a shit. They're Hall of Famers. They're first ballot Hall of Famers. No one cares about them. I care about them historically. As a basketball fan, I appreciate them and I know where they rank. But the card collecting hobby does not understand what those players did or how crucial they were to the history of NBA basketball, and it's reflected in their card prices compared to perimeter-oriented players. Playing time, opportunity, you got to get on the court, you got to produce. If you never get on the court, the more likely your player is to disappear forever. Once they get on the court, strike, right? If they produce, strike. Sell the cards, take some profits, take it in stages, hold what you want to hold, sell what you want to sell, take your profits, get your initial investment back, and then deal with some house money. Flash, swag, athleticism, like we talked about, Ja, Zion, Doncic, Trey, Edwards, LaMelo, those guys have one of those three. You got to have it to truly hit a Grand Slam home run. You can get doubles on smaller guys that don't have all that and don't interact the way those guys do with crowds and the media and opponents and teammates. Anthony Edwards, for instance, checks every box in that category. He can jump over your head. He can grab the scoreboard at the top of the stadium, but he also is hilarious. If you have not watched Anthony Edwards talk in post-game conferences and interviews, you're really missing out. Go check him out. And then keep an eye on quantity. Don't buy too many. I've made this mistake in the past on a couple of prospects. I nailed the prospect, and I had a bunch of the parallels nailed, but I bought too many of the parallels that I wish I didn't buy, and I wish I'd have bought fewer cards that mean more. So that's it, guys. That's the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this 3-part series. I hope this is something that can help new collectors, who are looking at NBA prospecting. Do not listen to people out there that are negative about this. There is money to be made in NBA prospecting. It is fun. It's great. I suggest, I didn't talk about this. Keep a spreadsheet with every single card you purchased, because in the long run, you're going to want to go back and look at what you bought it for, so you know what your margin is on selling and what you're comfortable with. You don't want to sell a card for $11 more than you bought it after you graded it, because that's a loss. And so you kind of want to keep track of all your numbers in an OCD, nerdy type of way. I do that. I have every single card I've ever bought and every single card I've ever sold to the penny, way back since 2015-ish. Maybe 2015, 2016, something like that. And it's also fun. I've got some episodes coming up that you guys are going to love, especially if you're watching this, called The Cajun Time Machine. Actually, the first one comes out, I'm recording this on the 23rd. The first one will come out on January 24th. It's called The Cajun Time Machine, where we take a Cajun time machine back to the year 2016, and we took a random selection of my Excel spreadsheet, 10 cards that I bought back then, and we look at what those cards would be worth now and what the profit margin of return is if I had held all 10 of those line items until today. So it's really fun to go back and look at what you've done. You can learn from it. Always learn from your mistakes, learn from your successes. There's lots of great quotes out there about how you learn more from mistakes than you do from being successful. So, but anyway, that's it, guys. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this 3-part series. Wow, this is pushing 1 hour. That's really long. If you've stayed with me this long, I applaud you. Thank you so much, and I do appreciate you being a loyal watcher of the channel. I'm trying to grow it. If you don't mind, send a link to my YouTube channel to a few of your friends. Make it as easy as possible on them to click it and subscribe. I really appreciate it. I'm not the guy who's on here giving stuff away to try to grow subscribership. I'm not about it. I don't want subscribers who subscribe just to win shit. That doesn't make any sense. That's like kickbacks. I don't give kickbacks for subscribing to my channel. I don't really want you to watch if you don't enjoy what you're watching. I want everybody in here to be the type of people that are going to hit the like button and then comment and then spread word to their friends that they found something that they really think is cool and unique. And so that's what I'm trying to do, is be cool and unique. And every video hopefully will either educate or entertain you. Those are my 2 goals, E and E, educate and entertain. And sometimes it's both. So anyway, thank you guys for listening. Stay positive, keep collecting, and peace.